I want to teach you how to take better photos of your dogs. My name is Matt, and I am a content creator and photographer. I share a huge amount of my dog's life on the internet, be it Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. But beyond that, we've also had some of our photos featured in magazines, in newspapers. We've been featured on websites. We even got into the We Rate Dogs puzzle. And beyond that, I've also done lots of other types of photography. I've done weddings, I've done restaurants, I've done action days at farms, and probably most relevant, some of that photography featured online got Buddy his own agent, which secured us jobs with companies like Nike and ASOS. So I want to give you 5 tips to help take the best photos of your dog. But before I do, please hit the subscribe, help us grow our channel, and stick around for tip 3. I think that's the most valuable. So the first tip I want to give you is that preparation is key. And I don't mean just your photography equipment. There are plenty of things you can do or bring to help make your photography setup with your dogs a lot easier. The first is really obvious, it's treats for your dog. You're going to want to find something that is nice and smelly and will help grab their attention. You can also use things like ham, cheese, whatever it needs to be, whatever your favorite treat is for your dog to help really engage them, get them focused and on their A game for a photography shoot. You might also want to consider things like toys, be it visual so that they know that there's a bit of play and you can introduce that during there, or you can bring things that have a squeaker in it. That can also be good to help grab your dog's attention when they're maybe focused on other things. If it's not a squeaker, you can have stuff that crinkles, whatever it needs to be to help grab your dog's focus and take it away from where it is to you and your camera. You might also want to consider a long line. This is essentially a really long lead that you can use. If your dog is not well behaved off the lead or you have concerns, you can actually get a lot more scope with that length of line, up to 10, 20 meters perhaps, where you can be away from your dog, but still attached should you need to be. You might also consider props. It could be hats, it could be a lifeguard outfit, it could be whatever you want to help kind of elevate those photos of your dog and make the most of it. My point being, the more you can do ahead of the photo shoot to make it easier when you're there, the easier it will be. And I'd also like to reinforce at this point, it's absolutely okay to go out on a dog walk with the sole focus of taking photos of your dog, and it's okay to take your camera out on a dog walk and never use it. Ultimately, this should be a nice, fun thing for you and your dog to do together. Okay, so my second tip is location. You're going to want to think about where you take your dog to take the photos. It sounds pretty straightforward, but what you'll quickly find is, depending on where you go, depends on what kind of environment you can create for your dog. An example for us on this topic is a thing like a lavender field. We're located in the middle of Hertfordshire, and there are a couple available to us. Now, if I went on Google and typed in lavender field Hertfordshire, I can guarantee that probably one will come up above the others, and that is a huge commercial operation operating just north of Stevenage. The reality is that lavender field is going to be really busy. It's going to have a lot of people, a lot of distractions, potentially other dogs, and things that might make that photo shoot quite challenging if it's not something I'm used to. So I encourage you to see what else is available. And for us, there's actually a much nicer lavender field, equal distance away, where we would go and probably be one of the only people there. Yes, it's a smaller operation, but it is perfect for what we need. It is dog friendly, it is quiet, and it helps me know that my dog is not going to be focused on much else but me and the camera. So my point is, do your research on where you want to go and take these photos. Find spaces that work for your dog. If your dog is comfortable and amazingly trained in all environments, it's probably not a concern. If you've got a bit of reactivity, I don't know, a younger dog that's very much distracted, you might want to put in the work to find the right location first. There's also plenty of places you can look. You can go into the city and get some great landscapes and sites there. You'll find plenty of dog-friendly cafes and hotels and restaurants, which also might be great places to take some of the photos you're looking for. But again, doing that research and finding the right location and tailoring it to your dog is going to make the whole thing a lot less stressful. Okay, tip 3. And this one's the big one. There's some fundamentals in photography which I am not going to cover in detail because there are plenty of other amazing YouTube videos here that you can follow to find out. But I do want to give you 3 photography 101s that I think will help really enhance your photos. The first one is a concept called fill the frame. The idea being that everything inside that photo has value, and there's not a bit of dead space above, below, left, right, but everything in there is being designed and is intentional by choice. That may mean that you focus solely on your dog and really have, I don't know, their head as the predominant focus. Or it might be that actually you really carved out what the backdrop looks like and you're locating your dog inside that, being closer to the frame to really get the details, or further back, depending on how you want to position them. My point being, make sure everything inside that frame is exactly what you want to see. The second, and again, fundamental photography, aim for the eyes. If you're using something like a smartphone, you can tap where you want the item to focus, aiming for your dog's eyes, and that will really help your viewer connect with the photo. You may be lucky to have a camera that does autofocus detection and actually will pick up your dog's eyes. Again, make sure that setting is turned on and it's registering the right part. Sometimes it picks up my dog's nostrils. That will help really connect the viewer. It's a fairly subtle point, but honestly, it's going to make your pictures look so much better. The last one I'll highlight is the idea of getting low. Now, in most cases, unless you're very short and your dog is very tall, you are going to tower over your dog. And if all of your photos are of you looking down at your dog, all you're going to see is your dog and a bit of ground, be it grass, be it mud, be it carpet, be it floor. It's going to look a bit samey. So what you want to do is get your camera and sit on the floor or kneel or even lay down to get you at your dog's height. And what you'll do is you'll open up that photo. You'll take it from looking at the floor to showing the world in your dog's point of view and the backdrop and the story around them. There's been several times when I physically lay down on a photo shoot and had dogs running towards me. But what it does is it opens up the photos so much for both you and the viewer. And it brings the world in to what your dog is feeling and seeing at that point, or all the amazing stuff around the dog that would be lost if you're just looking down at them the whole time. Now, that may not be the rule all the time. It may be that you want to isolate your dog on a sandy beach, but it's more likely than not that getting down and getting on level with your dog will really help elevate that photography. There's plenty of other ways to compose your photos, and I would advise you to search YouTube and do your best to find that, rule of thirds, etc. But they are 3 points I think that will really help when it comes to dog photography. So my fourth thing I want to talk to you about is equipment. And this is less of a tip and more of a reassuring moment that whatever you have to take photos is probably good enough. I went out and I took some photos of Buddy and Winston in the same place with 4 different types of equipment. With my phone, with a GoPro, with the Pocket Osmo video gimbal, and with my mirrorless camera. And yes, the quality is going to be slightly different because they are meant for different purposes. But my point being is I can get a pretty good photo on all 4 things using some of those tips I mentioned earlier, and they're all passable. What you can do to help if your equipment is maybe not as new or not as focused towards photography as you'd like it to be, is to look and take photos in areas with more light. Photography, as the word, comes from Greek, which basically means drawing with light. So what you want to do is take photos with the sun facing your dog, for example, or in a well-illuminated area of the house, or with more lights on. And that will help whatever camera you're using work less to get the quality out. The other thing that I implore you to do if you are using an iPhone or an Android or whatever it is to take photos is to clean your lens. Chances are this phone has been in your pocket for hours, days, weeks, whatever, with greasy thumbprints all over it, especially over the camera. And too often do I see a photo where it looks like it's got a bit of a filter on it. And that filter, unfortunately, is just a thumb or a smudge. So before taking those photos, give that camera lens a little clean on a t-shirt or a jumper or whatever you're wearing, and then take the photo. Honestly, it's a little thing and it will really help. Okay, so my last one is how to get the model behavior. This is a slightly tougher one, and a lot of this is preparation, which is done anywhere outside of location. It is getting your dog to do a trick, sit, wait, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you how to train your dog on this video. That's not going to help. Again, there are plenty of amazing videos and resources on YouTube to help you do that. But what I will say is for you to focus on one more than any other command, and I think that command is the wait or stay. Why is that helpful? Well, it allows you to set up a shot, be it a dog on some stairs at a beach hut, or a dog or series of dogs in the middle of the woods. Getting your dog to know that they need to stay somewhere so you can take a step back, play with your camera settings, play with your phone, whatever it is, and take that photo will just make your life so much easier. And like we mentioned earlier, if you need to put a long light on to make sure that your dog is secure whilst you're doing that, then please do. But investing the time to have your dog trained to stay and wait in a place will elevate your photography to another level. You could look at other tricks in the meantime as well if your dog has got an aptitude and a desire to learn. There are things like lay, you could do paw, you could do a high five, you could do fancy feet. All these little tricks you can do, again, can just help make a slightly different nuanced photo that might not have been done before, or is slightly rarer versus just the here's my dog sitting in a different location. But make sure you do these way before you head out and take some photos. And fundamentally, make sure it is fun for both you and your dog. Training and learning a new trick should be an enjoyable experience for both parties. If it is not, then it's not being done right, and I encourage you to try and find a different way. If you are taking photos of your dog and you think, oh my God, it's just so energetic, it won't sit still, then my only tip I give to you is to get close and wide. And by that, I mean 0.5 on a camera, or as wide as your SLR lens will take you. By doing that, you can get much closer to your dog and they're less likely to try and run or panic, and you can get photos. Now, they may not be the perfect ones that you are desiring, but you should be able to kind of capture them in the moment and probably capture more of their excited personality, which is maybe the whole point of photography after all. The other thing you can consider is, well, things are better with a friend. The amount of times I've gone out and taken photos and it's not just me. There is someone behind me helping with treats, with positioning, with focus. I can be then focusing on my camera and they can be working with the animals. So if you're doing something with a real specific outcome in mind, then try and find a friend or a partner or a family member, someone who will help you get what you want. Explain what you need from them and go out and enjoy the walk together. So that's it. That's my top 5 tips. Think about what you need ahead of your shoot. Think about where you're going to go. Practice those photography techniques to really get on your dog's level. Focus on their eyes. Make sure your camera equipment is clean and ready to use, and make sure your dog is well aware of what you need from them on your outings. And you're going to have some amazing photos. If I missed something, do let me know in the comments. I'd love to know your thoughts and tips on how to take nice, high quality dog photos. And as I said at the start, please hit subscribe. I'd love for you to engage with our channel. Above all, we have dogs, and that's probably why you're here in the first place. So go on, get out there and take some great photos.